Hello everyone, and welcome to the Season 2 premiere of Star Trek Aristotle, an original series game of Star Trek adventures using the rules by Modifius Entertainment. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are some new faces as well as some old faces. Well, mostly old faces if you take a look at the screen. In terms of announcements, I don't really have much except to say that Star Trek Hanasto, a Klingon game of Star Trek adventures, will be starting in the near future, knock on wood. So do look forward to Star Trek Hanasto on the channel in the near future. But other than that, I'd like to get started and get into things, so let's go through introductions, starting with Shizno. Shizno, anything you want to say about yourself and who you playing?
I am Shizno. I am playing Captain Waylon Cullen, an old soul of sorts with a handy little peg leg. Well, we don't know if it's handy. It's kind of jumps around on it. Other than that, not much going on. Hope everyone's had a great holiday, and just remember everyone, the urge to sing for those who are music fans. The lying sleep tonight is never more than a whim away.
You know what? I have no whimsy to follow that. King Cairo, what do you got going on?
Hey, my name is King Cairo. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Krell. Nothing else from me. I'm a little bit under the weather tonight.
All right. Arwen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Arwen, and I am playing Lieutenant Thestral, the Aristotle's communications officer. And I am just pondering what Shizno was saying, and I'm just trying to figure out how a peg leg can be handy. Wouldn't that be a peg hand?
But,
You'll have to find out.
See, this is where we find out that Colin is actually just all made of wood, and this entire time he's like a prototype android. You know what? I'm just gonna end that sentence there before Shizno steals my idea. Joining us for not the first time on the channel, but the first time in Aristotle, Professor Hex.
Hi, hello, I'm Professor X. I've returned to continue to harass ELH in any way possible. Yeah, and I am a new addition to the crew. I'll be playing Lieutenant Commander Matoga, who is, I'll just give you the log line here. Basically, it's like if Jeff Goldblum was a Soviet assassin.
These are all things I want to see. But yeah, let's get that intro going, and then we'll get started. And welcome back. So, as is tradition on the channel, we're going to have the players do an opening log, and I believe Captain Cullen, you have that honor tonight, so take it away.
Oh, Captain's Log, Stardate 2183.9. What's that date again in normal time? Yeah. Aristotle is finishing up refits at Starbase 21. We're waiting for... I believe we're either waiting or they just got here at the time of making this log, but a new officer is going to be joining the family. The retrofits have been extensive to some degrees. We got some new little shiny bits here and there and some baubles to play with. The one, exciting thing I'm looking forward to the most, though, is the new galley. We got a new chef, and apparently he's brought on a friend. Look forward to seeing what's that all about as soon as I can. Other than that, once we're done here, we're going to be rendezvousing. Computer, can you fix that? Thank you. We're going to rendezvous with an automated Antares-class transport that suffered apparently some engine failure. We're going to try and get her old up and working again, but if we can't, we're going to be taking our cargo aboard and going to deliver it to a pantry for pantry. Computer, is this the right designation?
It is.
Right. Okay. Well, let's not add that into the log. Let's edit this. Okay, there we go. Well, hopefully it'll be a smooth sail to a pantry for cookies. We'll leave that in. Well, look forward to seeing the new officer and how they mingle with the crew. Other than that, everything should be smooth sailing. And log.
Very nice. So, we do join the Aristotle at Starbase 21 currently. Starbase 21 is not the grandest starbase, all things considered. It's just large enough to accommodate the Aristotle within its main docking ring. So you will see in image, if you will envision, a number of umbilicals connecting the Aristotle to the starbase. There are a number of worker bees doing some finishing touches, as well as some people out in EV suits also finishing up the finer details. But where we're actually going to begin is in the ready room or your quarters, your choice, Captain Cullen, when our newest officer, Lieutenant Commander Matoga, is checking in for duty.
I like to imagine Cullen's usually off duty when this happens, so he'll be in his room.
So there is a chime at your door.
Oh, come in, come in.
Okay, yeah. Matoga would come in. He's an Orion. He's a little slim. He's got kind of the sort of physical kind of vibe of like there's something snake-like about him, but not in a skeezy or sort of like an unpleasant way. He's just got kind of like a lithe sort of, hands in his pockets, slightly hunched over, kind of slinky sort of quality to him. Slick back, black hair in a short ponytail, and he's got what you would call these days in our old-fashioned 2024 time as a Van Dyke beard, right? Yeah, he slinks his way in, and he doesn't say anything at first. He just sort of like sidles up wherever Captain Cullen is, doing whatever business they're doing, and he just sort of like looking over your shoulder or just kind of like hovering near your desk and just kind of like looking with some vague interest.
You don't see any of that. Cullen's in shorts, a loose shirt, and a robe. And you see him, he's just watering plants along the wall, and his floor, for half of his quarters, is actual soil, and he's just, wishing his foot around in it as he's walking around. And he looks over at you, looks you up and down for a moment, continues watering.
You missed that one right there. Mm-hmm. Yep, that the one with the long stalk. Yep, try that again.
This one actually only needs water about once a week.
I don't think so. Maybe try again.
So, how do you say your name?
Matoga.
Matoga. I might call you Matt every now and then.
Please don't.
That's not a request.
I see. Well, captain's privilege.
That's right. And tell me a little bit about yourself. What was your last posting?
That depends on whether we are talking official or off the books.
Whatever the posting was before you stepped aboard my ship.
Ah, yes, of course. I was involved on the Basilisk for a short period of time. It was an interesting, enervating experience, but they let me see if I can remember what they said in the file. That my management style was not complementary with the rest of the crew's Oh God, what is the phrase that they use? Emotional health. Yes, that's it. I don't know what that means, but anyway, I got transferred here, so lucky you.
Hmm. So you either have a problem with management, he does that in quotations, like, or you don't like being in it. Which one?
I would say that I think that for each little, every ship I think has little kingdoms. Yeah, and I like to be the king of the kingdom that best suits me. If they are asking me to be temporary king somewhere else on the ship, maybe I'm not doing so good of a job, and then I start to feel uncomfortable, and then I drift off to the commissary, and never to be seen again. It's just I like to be a little laissez-faire.
Okay. Well, on this ship, if you want to use your parlance, I'm king. You are an advisor. But in your own department, you're king of that.
Matoga will do sort of like one of those big courtly sweep bows. Of course, my liege.
Let's see. The last individual we had man tactical was rather good. He's actually going to be teaching, if I remember correctly. I don't think I taught you, though. How did you get your rank?
Well, I did a short stint at Starfleet Academy, but I was on a how do you say, accelerated program because well, and he'll like kind of lean in vaguely conspiratorially. Just between the two of us, I do know some people, and those people know some people, and well, certain hoops were made bigger, or I was made smaller to go through the hoops quicker. This metaphor is falling apart.
Ah, perfect. Okay. Explain some things. I want you to do a complete diagnostic and rundown of your department and all related systems. I also want you to do an evaluation of your crew. Not to give any promotions or anything like that, but simply to get to know them. And after that, I want you to give me a full detailing of the ship's armaments and defensive capabilities. Well, let's say 3 days.
I can get it to you in 24 hours. With
3 days is...
recommendations about what to adjust.
Well, 3 days is good. I want you to visit every deck, check out every system, get to know everyone.
Ah, I see. So you want me to also take a look at the boring ones as well.
If you want to call it that.
That's fine.
I'm gonna make you a team player, a fun team captain.
Oh, Captain, please. King, Grand Poobah, whatever you prefer. You, I think, misunderstand me. Believe me, I'm a team player. It's just that I like to be flexible. And if I find that the people on my team are not operating to their utmost efficiency, or they are not, say, making the right moves necessary to advance the team, then I will be critical of their abilities and their leadership, let's say, openly.
Openly. Yep. We're going to have fun. So yeah, 3 days. Should give you enough time to mingle with everyone, get to know them. Oh, and I have this for you. He's going to walk over to his desk and pull a little piece of metal, and he's going to hand it to you. You're going to hang on to this for your time aboard the ship. You keep it with you, keep it nice and safe. Don't lose it.
Well,
At the end, whenever you decide to leave us, or if you get transferred, you're going to etch your name into the back, It's going to be part of my little collection.
I see. So you don't want me to throw this away?
No, I want you to hang on to it. Could be
Right.
months, could be years you hang on to it.
I'll
However
just
long you're with us.
place it in the. Well, that is one thing that I dislike about serving in Starfleet. There are not as many pockets as I would prefer. Let's see. I'll figure something out. I will just hold on to it for now. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me, Sir King, and that we've had this opportunity to get to know each other and to exchange. Well, you give me scrap metal or something. I wish I had something for you. And he'll turn to one of the plants and just take a single leaf off. Nothing complicated, nothing too damaging, and he'll just sort of hand it to you. There, with my compliments.
Well, yeah, thanks. That probably hurt.
Oh, these are hardy plants, I assure you. And that one, again, let me remind you, definitely needs more water. Thank you.
Just smiles and he gives you a nod. Like, oh, right. You're also going to let everyone know that's part of the command crew that we're going to have a christening dinner in the galley tonight. Well, let's say 1900.
Shall I send this invitation to their personal devices? Shall I make a shipwide communication? Should I bang pots and pans outside of their quarters? What would you prefer?
Well, you can assume I want you to go to each and every one of them.
I can do that. Well, I'd best get started then, I suppose. Please enjoy your leaf, and I shall see you anon, my liege. See, I'm continuing the little bit we're doing here. Right, and he'll just kind of he'll turn and sort of saunter out.
Just watches him.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, so that's what you all are doing. Let's go to Krell and Thestral. Are you two doing anything together? Are you doing something separate? What's the play here?
I'll let Thestral go first.
Okay, I probably should have done. You know what? I'm just gonna assume
passing the
that
buck.
since you're a little under the weather. So Thestral is walking from the slightly upgraded gymnasium area, and he's leaving a trail of pool water along the deck plates. He is dressed. The only thing he's wearing is his Starfleet issue Speedos, and a swim cap and goggles, swim goggles, and he has a towel wrapped around his neck, and he is making his way to his quarters to get dressed and ready for duty.
So two questions. One, why the goggles? I mean, you're an Anar. Do you need the goggles?
Well, of course. I mean, there's even though my eyes function differently than most sighted species, they're still eyes. They're still subject to chlorine, and they still need to be protected.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I was just curious. And then, second question: does this mean that we now have an infinity pool?
I assume it's more of a training pool that's been made just a little bit bigger and secured a little bit better. It's probably big enough for two people now to swim, against a current side by side.
Okay, so slightly bigger infinity pool then. I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on your way back to your quarters, you're going to run into Matoga.
Hello, Lieutenant Commander.
I see my reputation precedes me. And you are, wait a minute, let me guess. The blind one.
Thestral stares over your shoulder for a moment. Yes,
There's something
Lieutenant
behind me.
Commander, the blind one. That is my official subtitle. Lieutenant Commander Iris Thestral. Welcome aboard, sir.
Hold on. When did you get promoted to Lieutenant Commander? Hold on.
Oh, did I say Lieutenant Commander? Oh my gosh.
What is
Sorry.
this?
I gave myself a promotion.
How dare you?
It's going around. Lieutenant Thestral, Lieutenant Iris Thestral, ship's communications officer and linguist, sir.
Yes, communications, language, very important. Sometimes you have to speak to people before you kill them. Yes, that does make sense. Listen, I'm glad I ran into you because there is a little christening ceremony, dinner type thing that is going on that King Cullen is putting on. So what I need you to do is, let us say, what time is it now? 1700 hours. Please meet in the captain's quarters. You will be shepherded to wherever this location is going to be for the dinner, and make sure to bring a bottle of champagne. It is a christening, after all.
Okay. Commander, can we back up for just a moment? I want to make sure that this isn't a cultural difference. Are you referring, in what context are you referring to our commanding officer as king?
Well, he's the king of the ship. He told me so.
He told you so. I see you have been exposed to our captain's charm.
Let us say that he has exposed himself to me.
Oh, I think we're gonna have to work on that wording.
Are we?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will. I need to prepare for duty. Get to my quarters and prepare for duty. I'm on duty soon. But we'll work on the way you express yourself in Federation standard, and I'll explain the nuances of that statement to you, perhaps over dinner. I'm not sure. I'm sure Commander Krell would very much want to hear this information. Are you planning to see him next?
Apparently, based on what our king has given to me, I am to visit all of them individually, a task which will probably take the rest of my natural life. So if you could just point in the direction of Krell, that would be great.
Well, he's usually found in engineering or his workshop.
I'll try engineering first.
Very
Oh,
good, sir.
and Lieutenant, I just wanted to say, I am very much looking forward to you giving me that there tongue lashing.
Yes, sir.
Am I getting it right? I'm sorry, the Federation standard is difficult for me sometimes.
Yes, it can be. Well, you know what? We'll work on it. Practice makes perfect.
Right. I hope in the future that our tongues will be together. Yeah?
Let's just say we have a lot to talk about, sir.
Fair enough. Excuse me, I'm on duty from the king. Excuse me, pardon me.
Very good, sir. And I'll head back to my quarters.
This will be good. All right. And then, Krell, where might we find you?
I figured I'd marry reality with the game. I'm talking to Dr. Dan because I'm not feeling well.
Very nice. So, Dr. Dan, as it were, he is running a tricorder over you, and he goes, well, looks like we've got a mild upper respiratory infection, bit of fatigue. I can give you something for the fatigue at least, but best remedy to get rid of all this would be bed rest.
I'm the chief engineer of a starship, Dr. Dan. Bed rest is not something that comes in spades. Can you just give me a pick me up?
I mean, I could. I could also make it an order that you have to get some rest. I mean, that is my purview as CMO.
Yeah, but you're not gonna do that. You're a good doctor.
Well, a good doctor would make you rest.
We have different definitions of good doctors, doctor.
Apparently. So, you heard of the new guy yet?
I got the notification on my pad, but I haven't read through his personnel file yet. Have you?
It's an interesting read. I definitely recommend him asking about Alpha Ceti 4.
I'll keep that in mind. Anyways, this pick me up.
Yeah, one moment. And he goes over to the tray of hypo sprays and begins preparing. And that's when Lieutenant Commander Matoga walks in.
I look at the doors when they swoosh open and kind of take a second once over and say, I didn't know there were any Orions serving in Starfleet. I'm taking it you're the new guy.
Matoga will like make a finger gun and sort of like point it from the hip at you and the doctor and say, "There aren't your money or your lives."
Huh. Interesting, fella. Krell says to Dr. Dan and looks back and says, Are you not feeling well, Lieutenant Commander, right?
That's correct. I'm feeling just fine. Just thought I'd, they say laughter is best medicine, and you look, not so well. So I thought I would, oh gosh, I just saw film. What the man has the little nose? Patch Adams. Yes, I was doing a Patch Adams.
Krell just stares blankly at that, kind of like raises his hands as the. I don't understand this reference. I'm sorry. Patch who?
It's a classical Earth film. The man, he's healing people emotionally, but maybe not physically. It's a metaphor. That doesn't matter. I'm here to just remind you, actually to inform you, and then surely remind you later, that there's apparently a christening dinner going on. The king has asked me to come to you personally, invite you, let you know to bring a bottle of champagne because it is a christening after all. Doctor, also you are coming as well. You just copy paste everything I just said to you.
And Dr. Dan turns around with a hypo spray in hand and goes, Right, so we're checking out the new deluxe galley that we've had installed.
Yes, presumably. Just hey, before we move on, can I and he'll kind of like slink up towards the doctor and kind of take a look at his hypo spray thing. What do you got in there? What's in there?
Just a slight mixture of aneprazine, nothing major.
What's the ratio?
He looks at the hypo spray. It's just a 0.35 ratio, just enough to give Krell a little bit of a pick-me-up.
Okay. Sorry, I was hoping for more. Anyway, yes, both of you, please come to the christening dinner. I'm sure it takes place in the galley. There will be directions. The computer will tell you where to go. Okay, before I get infected or otherwise debilitated, I'm going to continue my route, as he kind of like backs up slowly, my route through the rest of the ship while I eventually turn around and leave. That was smooth. Goodbye.
Bye.
The moment you're gone, Dan just kind of goes into Krell's shoulder and goes, Well, he's an interesting one.
Yeah. Oh, that feels much better, Doc.
That's only going to last for about 8 hours. After 8 hours, you're going to need some rest, and I will mandate it as your doctor. So as soon as this dinner is over, I expect you to be in your quarters getting some rest.
Well, if the captain doesn't have me on another repair job, I'll try and fit it in. No promises, though.
And Dr. Dan just kind of narrows his eyes at you and decides not to push the issue. He says, Very well, you may leave.
Kind of get up off the bed, kind of like stumble for a moment, like I'm a bit lightheaded before gathering my bearings and slinking on out of the med bay.
All right. So, before we skip ahead to this dinner, does anybody have any points of order they'd like to address? Open floor.
No points of order, just maybe after I don't know what you have planned, but uh, after the dinner and once we depart, just have like a station check-in in that classic Star Trek, we're leaving the starbase kind of way.
Actually, you weren't scheduled to leave Starbase until the next day, so unless you want to get away early or underway early, which would
Oh
be
no,
entirely Captain Cullen's discretion.
I'm fine
If
with the
he's
next day, but up to you,
if he's
Captain.
approached about it.
Well, maybe we can talk about it over dinner. So, we are going to skip ahead to the dinner because this is something that has been requested by the players a few times in the past. So, one of the upgrades that got used on the ship was installing a deluxe galley, which means you now have the advantage of fine dining whenever you eat in the galley. The galley itself is actually quite nice. It's got wood paneling. It has a number of interesting art accoutrements. And most important of all is it comes with your own personal chef, Chef Arnold. Arnold is he's a Vulcan, quite well built one. In fact, this is the most muscular Vulcan you've ever seen in your life. And you also hear faint mooing coming from the kitchen because apparently Arnold has brought on a legit Terran cow for actual milk, not the replicated kind. But as you all filter into the galley and take your seats, it's a very spacious table, lots of leg room, lots of arm room to kind of sweep your hands wide and those grand gestures, that sort of thing. But as you all take a seat, Arnold enters and says, "All right, it is good to finally meet you. My name is Chief Arnold, or Chef Arnold, or just Chef, whatever suits your fancy. Tonight we will be having a souffle, and just a souffle, unless you want something else, in which case I am happy to make a special order. I see we have a new member with us. Welcome, Lieutenant Commander Matoga. I hear very good things about you. But yes, what can I be getting all of you besides souffle?"
I'm still a little confused. Are there things available that aren't souffle, or?
I'm mostly trying to see how much you are willing to push my buttons.
Well, that depends. Are you paying for this dinner, or?
He just stares at you.
Tough crowd. Okay. I will take, upon careful consideration, I will take souffle.
Very good. He looks to Thestral. Thestral?
Take the damn souffle.
Oh, I was muted. Sorry, guys. I will take one of your souffles.
Very
Good
good.
choice.
And then he looks to Krell.
I'll have the souffle, but do you have any racha sauce?
His eyes narrow and he says, "You wish to put racha sauce on the souffle?"
Yeah, most humanoid food is already so bland tasting to my palate, and now my nose is stuffed, so I need some racha sauce.
Very well. In this one instance, I'm willing to go along with it, but be aware, if you do not put sauce on everything, you know what, I'm just going to drop it. I can see you and I are going to have a very long conversation. And you, Captain, what about you? What will you be having?
I wonder if I can get myself some bacon wrapped pesto pork tenderloins.
He he just blinks slowly a few times and goes, "Are you sure? We have a very good souffle that I hear is very, very good.
You know what? Toss in the souffle as well.
Very good." And then he does one of those grand sweeping bows that Matoga did earlier, and he exits to the kitchen. And anyone who cares to strain their ears just a little bit, you'll hear him muttering under his breath, "Pork tenderloins, what does he think this is? This is not the Zyber kitchen." And you hear the sounds of sizzling and cooking, etc., etc.
Matoga will lean over to the nearest crew member and say, "See, that is why we made him king, because he understands the art of diplomacy."
I think Dr. Dan, who's next to you, goes, I I think that's just because it started as a bit and the captain likes going with bits.
That's good. I'm almost entirely made up of bits. By the way, did you wash your hands?
Did you not?
No, I did. You were up in people's guts all day. I didn't want you to.
No, the last time I had any gastrointestinal problems with somebody, it was 3 weeks ago.
Well, depending on how the souffle goes, you may have gastrointestinal problems of your own.
Maybe
No,
possibly we're not going to talk about these kind of issues at the dinner table.
But what else are we going to talk about? And this is where the food talk happens.
Right. I just want to make sure that the imagery of some of the issues you guys are going to talk about doesn't create more of us needing to visit our good Dr. Dean.
Lieutenant, let me give you a piece of advice. If your overactive imagination is interfering with your ability to scarf down all food that you see with your eyes, I'm sorry, that was insensitive. All food that you sense with your not eyes, then perhaps you need to be a little less fanciful.
I don't know. I think being fanciful and imaginative actually contributes to my ability to be an effective officer, sir.
Well, I do have scheduled a little examination and assessment of the crew and its departments, so I suppose that will remain to be seen, won't it? Again, I'm sorry for saying seen. That is rude to you.
Let me save you some trouble, Lieutenant Commander. These colloquialisms are a natural function of language for sighted individuals. I appreciate your sensitivity. It is not necessary. We recognize that most individuals who are sighted, the majority of it, the language and culture are shaped by a number of factors, including biological. It's natural and normal for some of these colloquialisms and aphorisms to work their way into our language. So you don't need to avoid those, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, good. That was going to be exhausting. Well, once again, Lieutenant, I am glad that you have control of my tongue.
I don't know what to say. So Thestral looks a little nervous. He's not quite sure how to respond to that. Because there's a lot, he's probably overthinking this. And he is going to motion to his visual support animal to take a fly around the galley and look into the kitchens and see how Arnold is doing with dinner.
And actually, yeah, Arnold has somehow acquired what seems to be real tenderloins. They don't look replicated because he's actually cooking them in an oven.
You smell that? What is that smell? It smells like burnt meat.
Are you serious?
I'm surprised. It's been a while. But Mr. Crow, you probably can't smell anything, can you?
What?
Oh,
He said you probably can't smell anything, can you?
Ah. Oh, thank you, Commander. No, like not at all.
did Folas give this to you?
What are you implying, Lieutenant?
I'm implying that Folas doesn't have the best hygiene, sir.
No, he smells a lot. No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's a horrific odor,
Yeah, even for a Tellarite.
right?
Well, I'm glad he's the only one on board right now.
Well, that's not true. I have my relief communications officer, Nogmit, but his petty officer Nogmit, his hygiene seems to be a little better, though.
Oh,
But you got to be careful when individuals. I mean, the refit was a couple months, and when individuals go take their leave and they come back, we got to make sure. We probably should make hand washing and hygiene a little bit more of a priority when people
Yes,
come back from
absolutely.
leave.
100% agreed. Doctor, can we just get a general disinfection of this table that I'm sitting at, please? That'd be great.
Doctor takes out his tricorder and scans the table and goes, "It appears that Arnold, our new chef, has already seen to that."
Well, you'll excuse me if I don't trust your little tricorder there. Can you just spray some kind of germ-killing mist or something? That would be just wonderful. Thank you.
Germaphobe, are we?
Uh, I know what can kill me. Let's just say that.
Ah, then you would also know that a good testing of your immune system now and again does you some good.
Yes, well, that's what they always say before they then sneeze in your face and then cause you to contract the Rigelian shakes. So you'll forgive me if I don't believe you.
And I think the doctor looks at Colin as if to say, "This is an interesting bunch."
Colin just side eyes and gives a smirk as he's talking with Rivers.
But yeah, after a little bit more back and forth, Arnold comes out and he's actually got pork tenderloins for not just the captain, but he's got enough for everybody. So if you want pork tenderloins, they're there. He also does bring out a giant souffle. And when I mean giant, I mean like this is the biggest souffle you have ever seen in your life, kind of a thing. It's perfectly fluffy. It has risen well. And Arnold does the chef thing where he plates the tenderloins and the souffle for you. And this is like 5-star chef work that he's doing. And as he works, he says, "I would recommend that you do not dive right in, that you savor the flavor, savor every bite, because Miss Flowers only had so much milk, so I'd be very careful with the ratio, but I think you will be very pleasantly surprised by what we have come up with."
as he is doing that, Krell has grabbed the bottle of Racha sauce, and just starts like dousing his food like a child dumping ketchup onto anything that they eat, just completely dousing it.
And you can see that Arnold is trying very, very hard not to say anything.
I would also imagine that this sauce has a very pungent odor for everyone else at the table, being a bouillon sauce.
Let's define that smell. What smell are people smelling?
What's that Iceland delicacy?
Oh,
You know,
They're drumming.
yeah, I imagine it's something like that. Is apparently bouillons have very weak taste buds, so their food is exceptionally pungent.
An intriguing blend of surstrumming and durian fruit.
Oh, perfect.
all of these.
Sauce boss, do you happen to have enough milk to make some chocolate milk?
Well, it depends. Do you want 1%, 2%, whole milk, ultra pasteurized? What is your poison?
2%?
Very good. I will be right back. And he goes into the kitchen. You hear a moo, and then he comes back with a 2% chocolate milk.
Looks at it for a moment, takes a swig from it.
It's very rich, very creamy.
Good chocolate milk.
Of course it is. Miss Flowers made it.
How is Miss Flowers adapting to life on the ship, Mr. Arnold?
Well, you didn't hear this from me, but she's adapting very well. Though I am concerned that her genetic modifications might be a bit tricky to maintain.
Her what?
Well, you thought I was kidding. No, she's able to produce 3 kinds of milk.
Right. Right. Okay.
I think the
Thank
table
you,
is
chef.
speechless here.
So, just to clarify, poison is on the menu, but pork tenderloins are kind of an ask. I'm just trying to get the boundaries here.
What are you meaning by poison?
Well, you asked the king if he would pick his poison, which, by the way, true king would definitely have a taster to filter for poison before he ate anything. Just pointing that out.
Oh, I
Isn't
see, we're
traditionally
doing
that your role,
metaphors
Mr.
now.
Matoka?
Sorry, Sagan, I think we collided there.
We did. I apologize. Thestral will interject. Isn't that traditionally your responsibility, Mr. Matoga?
Yes, of course. I'll take it. Yes.
I don't need anyone being a mama bird for me and my food.
No, Captain. Excuse me, my liege. We are not close enough for me to begin spooning food, pre-chewed food into your mouth.
See, you get that. Anyways. How's everyone been since the retrofit's been happening? Every department been fine?
Well, the
Yes,
doctor
sir.
does... go ahead.
No, it's your turn.
Okay. So the doctor does speak up and say, well, everything's good in sick bay. We've only had a few cases of sniffles and slight flus, and he motions at Krell. But everything's been smooth sailing in medical. We got all our stocks resupplied. Nothing really to report.
Okay. Thestral?
Yes, sir. All of the Aristotle's logs have been uploaded, and library computer and technical manual update downloads have been completed. All deck chiefs report that station maintenance crew are scheduled to depart the Aristotle by 0800 hours. And I've received a report before I went off duty that all department heads have indicated that all crew transfers are complete. And our shuttle bay operations has reported that all shuttles and auxiliary craft have returned to their bay and are secure, sir.
Okay. And what about you, Krell?
Oh, engineering's fine, Captain. There's some minor fluctuations on the EPS power grid, but within spec. Volus is trying to get to the bottom of it.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining me for the first dinner in a gallery. I do hope that the meal is delicious. I'm sure it is, and that we all have a good time tonight. Yeah, because tomorrow, our first mission after the refit is to do an engineering repair or possible cargo run, depending on how it goes, to a system called Pantry 4, just in case we have to take it there.
I'm sorry, did you say Pantry 4?
Yep.
We're delivering supplies to Pantry,
pantry.
4?
Yep.
Okay, I know the humans, they say that God does not play dice with the universe, but I'm starting to think maybe he's a high roller.
It depends on which one you want to talk about. Apollo, yes.
I thought that human beings were past those gods. That god?
Well,
Have I got my
humans
history wrong again?
are. Let me just say it's more first-hand experience.
Oh, I see. I see what you're doing, my king. Yeah, you're doing a little, the beware, I'm a spooky vampire or something. It's very good. It's very,
No,
very, very funny.
but we did kind of lead to that, actually. Funny story. Not me, but a few of friends of mine, unfortunately, never got the idea to change their descriptions or get a new appearance or move around. They stuck around too long. And, well, people noticed. They never aged. So, yeah. Kinda responsible for that.
I think Commander Rivers looks over to you, Captain, and goes, I'm sorry, sir, I have to interject. Are you implying that Vlad the Impaler is a Lanthanite?
You know, I don't think he was, but I think the story around him kind of involved from my species.
Okay, I'm just going to note this for the historical archives later. Carry on.
Yeah.
Oh, and while you're at it, I'm a descendant of Charlemagne. Just if you'll make sure to put that down. Thank you.
River gives you a side eye, but does make a note in her pad.
It was actually around the time when they found what became known as North America when I stopped doing any sailing. Settled down, actually. Quite nice. Kind of miss it. Thestral,
So-
Carol, have you figured out how old I am yet?
At that point, Thestral's visual support animal, Quill, is going to peck at his right hand, and Thestral will move his head up and look over your shoulder slightly in you and Commander Rivers' direction, and say, "Captain, it looks like I'm saved by the bird here. Quill is reminding me that it's time for me to retire for the evening, as I'm on my training schedule and the Olympics are only 6 months away."
Barely
afraid I
touched
need to.
all your souffle and tenderloins.
Yes, sir. Again, I'm on my training regimen, so I have a very early day that I have to get up tomorrow. So I probably should take my leave of everyone, but I do hope everyone enjoys the Cali. And Commander Matoga, you seem to be an interesting addition to this crew. Uh, we're fortunate to have your expertise and your unique perspective here, sir.
Well, how diplomatic of you, Lieutenant. Are you perhaps gunning for the king's position?
Oh no, the king's position is well filled. I'm sure you will get a chance to witness that firsthand soon, sir.
Matoga will lean forward again, somewhat conspiratorially, and say, "Listen, I understand why you need to be under the radar about this, but if you want to launch a coup, I will be there for you."
I'll pretend I didn't hear that, sir.
And Matoga will tap the side of his nose and yes, of course.
Chal, I hope you feel better soon. I'll see you tomorrow morning uh, at the engineering briefing.
He's got a fork full of souffle and has got it in his mouth, and so just stares up and gives you a thumbs up.
Fair enough. Good night, everyone.
Take it easy.
Captain, Commander, Doctor. So I'll leave
And
back to my quarters.
yeah. And with that, I think that's where we're gonna take a 5 to 10 minute break. And when we come back, we will begin on our little mission to Pantry 4, which I just want to say for the record, I didn't realize the name I had made until after I'd made it. And it was like,
Bullshit.
Likely
No, it's
for a-
impossible.
no, I literally was like, all right, let's see. Pan, I gotta add 2 letters to it. Oh, fuck, I've spelled pantry. Oh, well.
That is just classically Freudian.
Yeah, you gotta love it. Anyways, we'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes, everybody. Stick around. And welcome back. So, we are going to skip ahead about a day and a half after the Aristotle has left Starbase. And you are just now rendezvousing with Tug 31. Now, Tug 31 is your stereotypical Antares-class, except that it is one of the automated kind, which means it does not actually have the command module where the crew would be able to command the vessel, sleep, etc. So, for those who are looking at an Antares class, it's basically this big trapezoidal thing where the sides are elongated and it's kind of a vertical setup, and then you've got kind of those 2 nacelles stuck on the back of it. And then, since it's an automated Antares, there is no bulge at the front where the command module normally would be. But Tug 31 is just kind of sitting there in space. The nacelles aren't lit up, and in fact, none of the running lights are on. And at this point, I'd like to imagine everyone is on the bridge. And at this point, the science officer has done a few scans and is just kind of like, no life signs, sir, but that's to be expected. And we're not getting any power readings at all. It's kind of dead in the water.
Got a team to go over and assess the damage. Let's see. Krell, you ready for a little bit of a mission?
Yes, Commander. Yes, Captain. I'm feeling mostly better. I'll
What?
get an engineering team.
Good to hear. Let's see. Matoga, I want you to go aboard too and see if you can access its computers just to see its flight log. Maybe it went through a ion storm that bugged it out.
I can certainly take care of that, sir.
All right. That's Astral. Would you like to accompany either team?
One moment, Captain. Thestral's holding his finger to his audio receiver in his ear. Apologies, Captain. Was just relaying our update that we had rendezvoused with the tug. I'm happy to join the away team if you believe that is if I would. No, why can't I talk today? I'm happy to join the away team if you think I could contribute to the work that they're doing there, sir.
I think it's a chance for always expanding your horizons, get familiar with different things and different protocols and procedures.
Very good, sir. I'll join the away team and I'll signal for my relief officer to take over communications.
And I think for mostly giggles on my end, Commander River kind of coughs and says, "You're not going on this one, Captain?"
No, I think watch and listen.
All right, very well. So, it sounds like we kind of have 1.5 teams going on here. Krell, you're bringing along engineering officers by the sound of it.
Yes.
Then we have Thestral and Matoga. Does anybody else want to bring anything else, like a security officer, a science officer? Do you want to bring anything else, or is it just you 3 and some engineering officers?
I think to answer that, I would want to know if there's any like life signs aboard or anything out of the ordinary that our sensors could pick up. Otherwise, I don't think we really need any security officers at the moment.
Yeah, it was said that there are no life signs, but that's to be expected. So
Yeah.
I'll bring a science tricorder.
okay, science tricorder. Matoga, are we breaking out the Type 3s for some reason?
Type 3s, probably not. Matoga's of sort of the philosophy that like you should get in like a small, tight kind of unit with sort of limited weaponry, and then escalate if necessary. Little bit more finesse.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. In that case, there's a short beam out sequence, and you beam into the interior of Tug 31. So, what I should tell you is that Tug 31 is laid out like an open air mall, where the atrium, quote unquote, you beam into is just one massive cargo bay, where there's about 7 to 8 levels of just crate after crate after crate after crate after crate that has been stacked, cataloged, and neatly held within the cargo bay. This is such a large cargo bay that you could probably fit about 10 aqua shuttles and still have a lot of breathing room in it. That's just how big the Antares-class and how big the cargo bay is. I mean, the Antares-class is literally a moving cargo bay, so that's why there's just so much on display here. The lights are off, so you are having to use either kind of those wrist-mounted flashlights or, the standard flashlights that you would hold normally. And part of the reason I'm giving this description is because the cargo bay is open to the engineering department as well. And even those of you that have an engineering score of 1 can immediately tell what's wrong. And this is the complication that chat redeemed earlier. There's no warp core. There's no warp core at all.
That would explain some
Maybe
things.
perhaps I missed that particular course day during how the ship-based systems, but shouldn't it have a warp core?
No, it should. Can I ascertain perhaps what has happened to the warp core by where I'm standing by just a look at it? Like, has it been jettisoned or stolen?
Why don't you give me a reason in engineering at a difficulty of 2?
Okie doke. Uh, warp engines focuses.
Most definitely.
Now we should be open to the idea that maybe the warp core was kidnapped.
Well, it's interesting because there's 2 successes, but a complication as well. I love it. So, the success means, yes, you're able to tell that the warp core was ejected, but the complication is going to be that the signs you would normally see of an emergency ejection or someone forcibly ejecting it, that sort of thing, it just looks like, as far as you're able to tell, that the mechanisms that keep the warp core in place decided to jettison the core for some reason. But you would have to restore power and boot up the computers to get any more information.
Okay. I'm going to assign a couple engineers to see if they can get the power of the reactor restarted.
Manders, while he's doing that, I'm going to go to the computer and attempt to pull up the flight log and sensor displays, interior and exterior sensor displays, to see if I can get a log of exactly when this was ejected and where that warp core would be in space, approximately.
I'm just trying to think what to make this as a role for you. Let me think. Because this could be another reason engineering. Yeah, let's do a, actually, if you're accessing the logs, let's make this a control engineering. Difficulty of 2 as well.
Okay. I'm just going to do a straight roll. We don't have any momentum, so I'm not going to spend any. And I'm looking to see, none of my,
And none of your focuses would apply here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, you did just get a momentum from chat, if that affects anything.
Now I'll just do a straight roll.
All right, 1 success. Do you want to fail, or do you want a success with a complication?
Success with a complication.
Success with a complication. All right. So you are able to tell that the warp core was ejected about a day ago. Or not, sorry, let me back up the timeline. Was ejected 3 days ago. So while you were still at Stardock and why it was still en route to its destination. The complication, though, is going to be when you access that log file, apparently you trigger a virus of some kind because all the logs corrupt instantly.
Whoops.
Whoops is right.
Do you want the my report? How's Krell's mood?
He's annoyed that the warp core is missing. You can tell
Yeah.
he's just walking around the cavity that would hold it. He's got a very annoyed look on his face.
Commander, it looks like there's a virus in the system, and I have activated it unintentionally.
The king will not be pleased.
No, sir. Is there any way to counteract this virus?
Would you like to try and run antivirus?
Yes, I would.
Has McAfee survived into this century?
No, I think Norton did, unfortunately. So,
No.
This would be a daring and engineering at a difficulty of 2 as well.
Well, can I ask our security officer, does he have any ability to assist?
Yeah, you can get an assist from him.
I mean, you probably know a little bit about viruses, at least how they're implemented.
Yeah, I can sort of finagle that. What should I roll?
You'll also be doing a daring engineering, which I
Daring
find
engineering, okay.
funny because I think technically you have 1 point over Thestral, but Thestral has engineering of 4 but doesn't have a focus. So it's just kind of a who wants to do the main role.
Right.
Can I wonder, I don't want to play your character for you, Hex, but I noticed
Too late.
I noticed that he has an espionage focus.
I was about to suggest that actually, is that there's
Okay.
some overlap there, I think, between like electronic countermeasures and viruses and such. So
Yeah, I'd let that happen. Though you only have an engineering score of 1 anyway, so it doesn't really do much for you.
yeah, well,
All right. I am going to spend the momentum on this.
Okay. All right.
I can get another die.
Wow.
you don't even need me. See, you should have believed in yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to look at the. Oh, yay me.
I'll do it anyway because
Yeah,
there should
please
be a
do.
complication.
Okay, no complication, but 4 successes brings you up to 2 momentum. And yeah, working together, Matoga and Thestral, you are able to combat the antivirus, and you are able to stop it from reaching back to the Aristotle, because it looks like it was trying to co-opt the communication array. And at least for Thestral, this might remind you of what happened on the Pants Planet, as I'll call it.
Not on my watch.
So you stop that before it spreads. And since technically I think we're treating Thestral like a science officer, this might be a good time to ask me a question that you have in mind, Thestral. Be any question.
Who implanted this virus? What is the
Yeah.
characteristics of this virus?
So this virus, interestingly, looks like it is a Vulcan virus.
Okay, that's
Chef Arnold.
Are you noticing what I'm noticing, Commander? Look at how
If
this
what
code is utilized. This is a Vulcan signature. This is classic Vulcan programming.
I see, I'm starting to see the logic there. Yes. Now, why would there be a Vulcan electronic virus in the systems of a ship that is missing their warp core? So the working theory is that the virus has perhaps precipitated the warp core being ejected. Is that what they're thinking?
I'm a scientist, sir. I don't speculate unless I have enough data.
When do you have enough data?
That's the eternal question, isn't it?
Matoga will like grab both of Thestral's shoulders. You need to live your life. You can't just be waiting around for data all the time. You've got to get out there and make your own data.
Thistral looks noticeably uncomfortable with this contact. I will take that under advisement, sir. For now, we should report this to the captain. Would GM, would I know if using personal communicators would propagate this virus to the Aristotle?
I would say you have it neutralized enough that you can safely communicate back to the Aristotle.
Very well. Landing party to Aristotle.
Captain here.
Hello, Captain. I have an update for you on our progress and what we've discovered.
Yeah, good to hear. What's prognosis of the ship?
It looks like the ship ejected the warp core approximately 3 days ago, which would explain the engine problems. We do have a curious bit of information, though. We have detected a virus with a Vulcan signature in the system, which has corrupted the logs. The virus attempted to propagate to the Aristotle, but Mr. Matoga and I were able to stop that before that occurred. Unfortunately, it has corrupted the logs, and Commander Krell is carrying on his own investigations. I can patch him through so that he can update you on what he's been working on.
Just to be on the safe side, we're going to set up on our end a secure channel. It might be a few minutes, but we'll switch to that just in case there's anything else kicking around.
That's a wise precaution, Captain.
Well, we'll contact you in a moment.
Standing by. And I'll
And
put the communicator on pause. Commander Krell, do you
Rivers?
need to talk to the captain?
No, I wouldn't at this time. But what I think Prowl would be focusing on with his team is to try and determine if the virus is the cause of the ejection of the warp core, or if it's unrelated to that function.
All right. That's going to be probably a reason engineering once again. I am going to make the difficulty a 3, though.
Okay.
do have,
Since it's a virus, computers.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. And by my count, you do
No.
have 2 momentum to spend.
Yes, I will spend a momentum.
Computers focus. Ridiculous.
All right. So you have the option. Actually, don't you have cautious engineering?
Oh yes, I do.
Yeah, so you can reroll one of those.
Nope.
No dice. All right, so you have the option. Do you want a
Well,
success
yes,
with a
dice.
complication, or do you want to just not pass?
I'll take a complication.
Okay. So, yes, the virus is responsible for ejecting the warp core, but the complication is going to be that since the corruption of the logs happened so quickly and you weren't able to stop the virus before you could, you're not able to tell the origin of the virus. Now, of course, I should say there is a chance that with enough effort you could decorrupt the logs, but that's going to be a very involved process.
Would Thestrals dealt with the virus, right?
Yes, the virus is neutralized, but the effects of the virus are still present.
Okay. I'm gonna download the logs and send them to the Aristotle.
Okay.
See if the engineers back there can utilize the ship's computing power to fix the corruption.
That might be a risk because we just ensured that the virus wouldn't propagate to the Aristotle, and technically we're sending them the diseased package directly into their systems.
We'll say
Yeah,
for
but
sake of argument that it won't go across. Like you've neutralized the virus, it's not going to go to the
Okay.
Aristotle.
All right.
I mean, unless you want me
then
to
I
spend
will do
threat,
that.
I'm happy to spend threat. No, we'll just I think it's more interesting if we just say that you've neutralized the virus and you send it over. But I will start the ticking time clock, quote unquote, that there is a amount of time that will pass before the logs are uncorrupted.
Sounds good.
But for the time being, what are you doing about the power situation? Because I'd like to imagine at this point, like you all have been using spare power supplies that you brought over, but it doesn't restore power to the greater Tug 31.
Yeah, well, Krell looks to Bolus and a couple of the other engineers that he has brought over and says, all right, you grease monkeys, let's get this reactor going. And heads off, and we all head off to the reactor.
Okay, to the impulse reactor. Do you want the good news or do you want the bad news?
I want them combined in a single sentence.
Okay. There is no impulse reactor either. It's missing.
Oh no.
And in
That's not good.
fact, when you check the system once again, there is no warp core, there is no impulse reactor, even the coolant that is used, or I forget what it's actually called, but whatever it is to control the thrusters, that's all gone too.
What about the thrusters themselves? Are they still there?
The physical thrusters are there, but the propellant, that's the word I want. The propellant that is used for the thrusters is completely gone.
Listen, E, as an English teacher, I think I am duty-bound to inform you that even with a liberal use of semicolons, that was more than one sentence.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I will take 2 threat off for making a complicated sentence.
Thank you, and don't let it happen again.
Commander Krell, in light of this information, I'd like to return to the Aristotle and begin using their sensors to scan and inventory everything that is missing that should be on this vessel.
Well, that's a good idea, Lieutenant. Is the ship's manifest still intact, GM?
Roll me a challenge die. On an effect, it is.
Whoops.
It is.
All right. I send the crew or the ship manifest to the Aristotle.
And just as a point of order, I was thinking, since our mission involved unloading cargo potentially from this cargo vessel, we would probably have a copy of the cargo manifest in the Aristotle's computers already, since it was part of the mission.
Well, now you can
Indeed it
compare if there's
is.
been any changes to it.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, good point. Well made. All right.
So, Thestral, if you could give me a insight and command, please. This will be a difficulty of 1.
He's on the ship. Would he get the assistance from the ship?
He would.
Using the
The
ship's computer?
Aristotle will assist with a computers and command. Well, there's already the 1 success you need. Let's see if the ship gets you. Ship gets you another. So you're back up to 2 momentum. So, Thestral, you're looking through the logs. You're having the Aristotle's computer correlate the thousands upon thousands of entries, because again, very large cargo ship. 2 things jump out at you. 1, the medical supplies for Pantry 4 are completely missing from the copy that is on the Tug 31 vessel. So the medical supplies are completely missing from the Tug 31's computer banks. It's as if they never existed. There are no records of them coming aboard. There are no records of them leaving. They just simply never existed as far as Tug 31 was concerned. The second thing that you notice is that there is the addition of 2 crates to the manifest that shouldn't be there. You have no idea what's in these 2 crates, only that you know where to find them. They're on level 5, subsection 3. And you can't miss them. They're apparently in the red crates.
Not at all ominous. Okay, I will share that information with Lieutenant Commander Krell and Lieutenant Commander Matoga, especially Lieutenant Commander Matoga. Because this is looking more and more like a security situation.
This is very unusual. Normally, if there is some kind of, well, I don't like to toss around the S word too liberally, but smuggling going on, one doesn't necessarily add that stuff to the manifest of the ship. It's almost as if we are being deliberately pointed in that direction.
What do you think we should do?
Well, short of see, this is the problem. See, when we came here, and then I was informed that there was no warp core, instantly my initial strategy of simply backing away from the ship and detonating its warp core is off the table now. So I'm gonna have to go about this a little bit old-fashioned. I would suggest we all mount up with phasers and make our way towards these mysterious boxes.
I remind you, sir, I have a vow of passivity in alignment with the ethical ideals of my culture, sir.
I was not aware of that. It must have slipped my mind. In that case, I ask that you be as aggressively passive as possible.
Well, passivism is not passivity, as one of our more famous members of our species has said more than once.
Oh yeah, the what is his name? Genghis Khan.
No, I don't think that's correct, sir.
Just want to throw that out there. Hey, can you be more passive aggressive? Thanks.
If it wouldn't be too much trouble, if you could just, it's just that I'm just not feeling your aggressiveness. So if you could just sort of like put that would be fine. I would leave a note, but I thought maybe just a direct approach would be. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to leave a note. Sorry, I said anything.
Sir, I'll take over scanning. I have my tricorder at the ready.
All right. So, tell me about how you're approaching these boxes. Are you just walking right up to them? Are you doing the slow approach? Like, how do you approach these boxes?
Well, first of all, before we actually go, clap eyes on these things, I'd like to get a sense of just an overview, whether that is like digitally or, just like with actual visual reconnaissance, I guess. If the ship has been exposed to anything that would suggest, I know the prevailing theory, the sensible theory, is that the virus, triggered the warp core ejection. but is there anything to imply that this was an obvious act of like warfare or sabotage or anything?
Why don't you roll me a insight security, and you would have a focus of espionage.
Insight security, focus of espionage.
Difficulty of 2 on this one.
All right, and focus. Not going to use a momentum, leaving it how it is. Here we go.
Huzzah.
I would say at this point you are strongly suspecting that some foul play was involved, because it would be one thing if the virus just ejected the warp core. The fact that the impulse engines and the reactor or the thruster propellant is missing tells you that somebody had to come aboard this vessel to steal the reactor and remove all the propellant.
Yeah, that's too many things happening simultaneously for it to be just the act of some clever coding. Yeah. Okay. Then I think with that information in mind, then I think so this this crate, right? Is there is it accessible? Is the interior accessible from like multiple doors or hatches or what have you, or is there just one way in, one way out?
So it's all open. Like if you imagine your standard American mall where there's escalators and elevators and platforms you can ride up and down, things like that, where you can just go on a platform and it'll take you to whatever subsection of the cargo bay you want to go to.
So whatever's there is just sitting out in the open in that section. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
I see. Okay. Well, then I guess Matoga would be approaching as from whatever direction will give him the most sort of tactical advantage, I suppose, whether that is like dangling off of the side and then getting back onto the platform when it arrives, or trying to climb around, get there with some climbing or skullduggery. Just some way that's not the conventional way of just riding the thing up to the platform.
So go ahead and roll me another insight security. I am going to make the difficulty on this one a 3, though. And without spoiling the surprise, you would have a focus.
Focus, got it. And then, can I spend a momentum?
Certainly.
Well, I wasn't asking you. I was asking my crew.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. See, you got to be careful. You can't just let GMs walk all over you. Okay, 3 dice, focus, insight, and security, you said. Here we go.
All right.
Yep, that makes sense.
So, what's going to happen, because it was a difficulty of 3, you were on the right track that, you do see a little too late that there are laser tripwires or other forms of tripwires that are meant to trigger something. And when you get close enough to the boxes to clap eyes on them, you realize and hear that there is an ominous beeping coming from the crates. And your focus of demolitions tells you that you have a limited amount of time to potentially deal with what could be a bomb.
Okay, then I think I'm going to try to do some things very quickly simultaneously.
Okay.
Get out the communicator and bark over that explosives, and then section such and such, wherever the whatever the section of the cargo bay that I'm in. And then is there any way that I can sort of like clear the deck, like get myself out of, well, do I know based on the beeping, let's say, that it is a trademark like detonation signal for like this brand of bomb, or this particular kind of bomb, which like does this kind of detonation, or
I would say it is your classic Vulcan implosion bomb.
Hate those. There's no return policy either. Okay, so does that is it conceivable that I could get out of the way physically, or is it just, well, take cover and then hope you don't get blown up?
I would say that it's very much going to be dependent on your fitness security roll.
Okay. I think I will do that.
Okay. So we'll be a fitness security difficulty of 2. Don't think, well, I guess I could give you demolitions because you know how far you have to get away from the thing.
Yes, that's what I was hoping.
And you do have
Okay.
1 momentum by my count.
So I want to put it to the group. If you guys are sick of me already and want me to die in a fiery explosion, we can make that happen now. I just need you to be honest with me.
No, you can use use the momentum.
Yeah, please use the momentum.
Okay. All right. Well, you'll regret this later, but fine.
Really complicated.
Of course. Why not?
Well, the good news is you do pass, so you do get the momentum back, but that is another we might be in the running for a number of complications. I think that's like 6 or 7, I think. So here's what's going to happen.
What can I say?
You are able to get your message to the Aristotle, and the Aristotle is going to do an emergency beam out of the crates to open space where they can detonate and not hurt anyone. However, the complication that's going to happen is when you dive, majestically out of the way behind a pillar, the crates beam away. But then you realize that the other crates that are in this subsection of the cargo bay, they're also colored red. And now they're beeping as well. And
good.
because I'm an asshole, that's where we're going to end today's session.
I'm at a Duke Nukem level. Come on.
But yeah, what did you guys think? I thought that was a nice kind of dichotomy there where the first part of the session was nice role-playing, and then the second one we're almost blowing up.
Yeah, very good.
No notes. It's pretty great. I just want to make sure Cullen has enough to do.
Oh no, this is perfectly fine. I want more stuff for you guys to do, especially with a new player coming in. I want them to have more time to integrate in.
Okay, fair.
Well,
But we're not going to forget you either.
You know how I feel about your just generally poor performance as a DM.
Just shitty show all around. Yeah.
This is more of a charity. This is more of a charity service I do for you. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, Twitch, stick around because we're going to raid somebody, but YouTube, we'll see you later. Bye, YouTube.